Okay, I got the red smoke.
Gun runs north to south, west of the smoke, west of the smoke.
Okay, copy. West of the smoke. I'm looking at danger close now.
Come on with it, baby. Give it to me. I need it. You're cleared hot.
Copy, cleared hot.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Where should we begin? It's been a long time coming.
At the beginning, I guess.
At the beginning. All right, so you were having waffles at the Venetian. That was
Yes.
the beginning of when I met you.
It was, yeah. SHOT Show. Was it SHOT Show?
It was.
Yeah. With Joe, me, you,
I was-
Joe.
I
You came
was-
to breakfast.
I came briefly to breakfast. You guys were carbing up, I believe, for the Keep Hammering 5K.
Yes, that's what it was.
Joe was carbing up.
Yeah.
I think he had run 7 yards that year.
Yeah, no, I know that. He said that was the furthest he'd ever run. I mean, 3 miles. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember I was at SHOT Show for some sponsor obligations in the tactical world, and he made a post that he was there with you, and I was like, Joe, I have to meet Cam.
Yeah.
Because I had heard, I had a bow at that point.
Okay.
I was hunting in my backyard at about 17 and a half yards.
Yeah.
I had put arrows through the fence
Yeah.
more than once.
That happens.
It's embarrassing that it happened at that distance. The
happens,
neighbors
yeah.
were not pleased. But I remember when I first heard about bow hunting, it was you were sitting there talking with Joe, and I actually hit him up. I was like, hey, man, you sounded more excited talking about that than you had in a long time. Like, what's the deal?
Yeah.
I used some slightly more colorful language that perhaps I'll leave off,
Yeah.
involving, dudes and tree stands and stuff like that. Like,
Oh, yeah. No, I know. I can't imagine, I've hunted my whole life, so it's hard for me to imagine without it. But I even, you're kind of new into it also. And then Joe,
Yep.
me and Joe were just talking about this, I think, at the last fights. And it's like, I don't know what people who aren't obsessed with hunting, I don't know what exactly they do. Or I mean, that's why I train. That's what I
it's your
do
pin in the ground.
every day. Without that, I'm like, I don't even know if I'd be in shape, what I'd do, what my purpose. Like, I don't know. So I asked him. I mentioned to him. I said, hey, it must feel amazing to know you're this is what you do now. You're a hunter. This is how you provide. This is how you put meat on the table, because you're out there and doesn't it feel right? I think I said something like that.
I'm not at the it feels right phase. I'm kind of like at the what just happened phase.
Yeah,
Still,
it goes fast at the beginning. Yeah, everything's happening.
that was one of the first things that I noticed was the velocity of things that need to occur
Right.
correctly
Yeah.
in sequence.
Oh man, there's so many variables, and one of them goes wrong, and it's
The very first time I drew back on an animal, it was with Dudley. We were in Alberta, my first bow hunting trip. I had visited him at his house because the CrossFit Games were out in Madison, so I drove down.
Okay.
He linked me, Joe linked me up with Dudley as well, too. I had one of his releases, and I was going to ask just about it chewing up a D-loop.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
And it says like, oh, just come over. I'm like, all right,
Right.
you're the nicest human being in
Yeah,
the world.
yeah,
So
he
totally dials my bow in. He's like, oh, yeah, we should go hunt. I'm like, yeah, that sounds awesome. He's like, what are you doing in 2 weeks? And I was like,
yeah.
perhaps.
Yeah.
Going hunting, and we were walking around, and didn't see any elk, but we had some encounters with, the first encounter I ever had with an animal was with a black bear.
Bear. Yeah, I remember that.
And I couldn't see them because Dudley's 3 feet taller than me.
Right.
And he's watching them like frolic, and they take off. And
Yep.
he just looks back at me. He goes, draw back. And I didn't see what was happening.
Right.
So I generally do what I'm told.
Yeah.
I drew back, and then just down the road comes this bear walking straight at us.
Oh man. And it was like, was it agriculture type land or what?
It was a mix. There was not a lot of rise and fall, but
Because it was Alberta, you said?
yeah, there'd be
Yeah.
big fields and then a little bit of terrain in between.
Okay, I
and you
see.
could go dive down into the river, the
Yeah.
creek beds and stuff like
Okay.
that. And we were making our way towards that. They had just been eating a bunch of berries, I think.
Oh, I
and just
gotcha.
playfully wrestling in the grass.
Yeah, some frolicking, as you said.
Yeah.
And then so that came, walked to you to pretty close, right?
Yeah, close. I mean, I didn't have any. I look back now, I'm like, I ranged nothing. I
Yeah.
eyeballed it.
Okay. that usually means it's close.
It was close enough that the 20 was going to work just fine,
Yeah.
regardless of where it was. I let it go. And then, the blood trail on that, I thought we were going to find it at every single corner.
Yeah.
and it had climbed a tree, and it looked like predator. It was insane. The recovery of that was a little bit wild, but
really,
so many things happened so quickly. I still get caught in that, even when we were in Utah this year.
Yeah,
trying to, because I shoot the same site that you do, and I actually hear pros and cons about this all the time.
Right.
People are like, I like the clean 2-pin, and I have in my head, I know the gaps most of the time, and I'll set it at a range where I'll hold high or I'll hold low.
Yeah.
Because I prefer the clear scope. Because if you gave me 5 pins, I guarantee I'll use the wrong one.
Yeah, so you like the single post.
Single post with the 2 fiber optics.
Yep.
Like if you give me 5, I'll use the wrong one. I promise you that I will.
That happens. I used to actually, I had a site with 7, and then I would print off little labels and put, I think I'd put on 30, 50, and 70. Like a little tiny, so I could see, because you start trying to find your 40 and 50 in the middle of 7 pins.
Yeah.
And you're counting up
1,
and down.
2, damn it.
Yeah. So I understand what you mean. Yeah. It is confusing.
It is, but then you have to range, but they
Yeah.
can't see you when you range.
Right.
And then you have to make the adjustment.
Dial it.
Then you got to get ready.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah. It's that's what amazes me the most. I think that I'm the most impressed about watching you guys hunt is the knowledge that you have to get yourself into a position for success. Enough interaction where the animal is probably going to come here and he's probably going to do this. And when the animal is doing this, you're safe to draw back.
Yeah. That's the,
It just takes reps, I'm assuming, in years.
It's just experience. That's what people were asking. I was in Salt Lake this weekend at the Hunt Expo and had this Q&A, and people were saying, what for a new bow hunter, what's the best, or what's some advice? And to me, it's just time in the woods. It's time in the mountains, because it's learning what you can get away with, what you can't, what the animal's body language is telling you, staying in the moment, not, your heart rate not going crazy, making good decisions. And it's just developing what I call hunter instinct. And it's just, I don't know how to explain it. It'd be hard to write down. It'd be hard to show somebody what to do, but it's just knowing inside what to do.
Yeah.
And what is that?
What feels correct?
Yeah. I don't know what that is, but the only way to get it is time. And
I think you could develop that instinct. I think that's a correct term for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you develop that by just waiting until they look directly at you and then draw back.
Yeah, it's it's so much is happening in that moment. What a lot of people call quote unquote crunch time.
Yeah,
and it's like I remember, and I mentioned this too, is when I first started as a new bow hunter many years ago, is like I'd pull back. Is before rangefinder, so you just have to look, eyeball it, and judge. And I'd pull back and shoot, and I would not know what pin I used, how far I wouldn't know anything. And I'm like, I wouldn't know where my arrow went. It was just like I entered some vortex where have no idea what happened.
Space-time continuum.
Yeah, it was. And it's just, it's like if I killed, I've always killed, but when I did kill, it was just like, holy shit.
That just happened.
It worked, And so now it's the other way where I just know it's going to work, but there's that. So in between those 2 points, there's a lot, a lot of journey.
I feel like I can do okay in crunch time where I get pinned in the corner, like where I should have done something.
Yeah.
And then I'm just like, I can't move.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but I really want to move.
Yeah.
So then I do, because I want to.
Yes. Yeah.
And then the last thing I see is a butt.
Yeah.
Running off, and then I get very upset with myself. The crunch time I'm okay with. I'm like, all right, I can.
Yeah.
We'll be okay. Like,
if
I can get everything set up, but just knowing. Actually, the one of the times I felt the most comfortable was the bull that I finally got in Utah.
Mm-hmm.
I did feel pinned because it was walking in towards me, and I had absolutely no idea what to do if it kept coming. I was actually going to jab it in the face.
Right. Walked right on top of you. Yeah.
Was the conclusion that I had is that my best chance would be to probably jab it and then dive in the bushes and hope it killed the cameraman.
Yeah, there you go.
Which I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
Caleb is fine.
It's a plan.
But I knew that he would see me draw, but I knew that the guides would cow call.
Yeah.
And I knew he would stop.
Yeah.
So when he did that, I just took my time and drew back, and I had to find I would look, I'm like, oh my God, this is the dirtiest shot ever.
Yeah.
Trying to find a window in the trees.
Yeah.
Let it settle, pulled through it, and I was like, okay.
Yeah. Smoked him.
It was good.
Yeah.
most of the time it doesn't go like that for me, but in that particular one, I had enough. I'm like, I know these guys are going to try to stop him.
Yeah.
And I know if he stops, I'm going to get a shot.
Yeah.
At least I'll probably have 5 seconds.
Right.
Which should be enough.
Yeah.
And then that felt awesome.
Yeah.
And he went over the hill, and he was like, I don't know how you describe it. It basically was bleeding out of his nose when he was breathing, and I had never heard that. And I leaned over the guy. And
He
I'm
was
like,
drowning.
yeah. I leaned over the guy, and I'm like, is that good or bad? And he was just like,
Yeah.
it's good.
Yeah. He was drowning in his own blood, essentially.
So fast.
Yeah.
We found him all 4 legs backwards, head downhill, like he was taking a step and just augered straight in.
Yeah. Yeah.
The beautiful yellow glow as I went over the top just where I was like, oh,
Saw that hide. I know. The golden hide. Yeah. It's there's nothing quite like elk hunting. Just that bull was bugling in, right? Was he coming in bugling?
he came in, bugled at the top of the hill, bugled right at the tree line, and then as he was walking, as he was doing that crazy, how they know how big the rack is beyond me.
Yeah, to get through stuff.
He was bugling right before he stopped. He came to about 3 yards.
Yeah, that was I remember you sent me that footage, and I'm just like, holy crap, that was awesome. But what I was getting at is when a bull's coming in like that and bugling and coming into your lap, it's like the first time Joe experienced that, we had 2 bulls come in. We were in Colorado actually on his first bow hunt, and 2 bulls. They weren't even big bulls, but they were coming and bugling like that, and it came in close. It's a little tight canyon.
Had he ever seen an elk to this point?
I think he'd seen an elk, but not like that.
I was going to say, they probably were massive. If I had never seen one, that would have been the biggest creature I'd ever seen.
Not like that. And he just said that no matter, he's done a lot of exciting things in his life between fighting and announcing and comedy, but nothing compares to that. And so that when people who haven't experienced it, it's another thing that you can't really explain. It's just, when they bugle that close to you, it feels like
I felt it in my chest.
Your hair's blowing back. Your hat might blow off. It's so loud.
And the audio captured it, but it not really.
No, not the same.
Yeah.
Not the same.
Like I said, I was legitimately running through self-defense situations because I didn't know what was going to happen.
That is just, man, I don't know. There's nothing that compares. And then when you have that in your life, so that's like, life is what it is. It's not that exciting most days, right?
Yeah.
But when that's the pinnacle of it, man, you want to get back. It's like a fix. You're like, I need that fix again. And
well, it holds me over the whole year. I have my bow just sitting by the front door in my house, and now where I live, I think I could probably stretch it to like 160.
That's some good shooting.
I already have a plan for the summertime. I'm just going to terrace out some areas, maybe a little shade structure.
That'll be sweet.
Oh, it's going to be. You got to come out and visit.
Yeah,
It's awesome.
I can't wait.
But and then in the garage, occasionally I'll buy like an awesome Snake River Farms like ribeye or Carter Country Meats ribeye. Yeah. But other than that, it's open the freezer and what's on top.
Yeah.
Chili, sure.
Elk.
Hamburgers, sure. Steak, sure. And my kids love it. My daughter, she's so funny. She's like, I'm a pescatarian. I only eat things that you kill. I'm like, I don't think that's what that means.
Just go with
But
it.
I totally support that. Yeah. So go open the freezer and get whatever you want.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. People ask all the time about diet and what you eat. You can't, wild game. It's just, I think you feel different. I feel different because usually the only meat I ever eat is wild game, unless we go out for a steak. But it just there's nothing quite like wild game meat. As far as fueling what I need.
I do feel like it fuels me differently. I think the protein content, I think Joe was talking about that too. The protein content is substantially higher.
Yeah, maybe. All I know is like if you're killing, when I used to hunt here in Oregon in the wilderness back here, when I'd kill a bull back there, I had convinced myself, so if you believe it, it's true.
Yeah.
But
placebo effect.
It was high octane protein, because those animals were so wired. I remember those bulls were so fast because there's lions up there, and for whatever reason, they seemed. They would jump the string sometimes, which means if you shoot an arrow, they could actually move before it got there. They were like that quick. So I thought when I would kill bulls up there, I'd be like, I felt like they were high octane, like
Yeah.
elite athletes for the mountains. I'm like, well, this is me now.
Yeah.
Now that's my fuel.
Your octane's
so-
my octane.
Yeah. So anyway, I've convinced myself of that now.
Those are Roosevelt bulls?
No, those are Rockies.
Are
Yeah.
any of them in here Rockies? Or what do you...
These are mostly all Rockies. Roosevelt's are on the western side of the states, so where we are right here, like that far one on the left is Rocky.
Okay.
I mean, Roosevelt. All these Rocky. That's a Roosevelt right there. That's my best Roosevelt.
This one?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
It seems like they're a touch narrower.
They're narrower. They're usually heavier, darker horned. But yeah, and the bodies are usually quite a bit bigger. Like that bull.
Really?
That bull weighed 1,200 pounds. It's giant. So those bulls that we'll kill in Utah are probably 800.
Yeah.
So that was,
1.5 times that.
yeah. It's like 1,200. That was 1,200 pounds live.
I do love some of the comments you get on your page about how you get 6,000 pounds of elk meat.
Yeah.
And, like, why?
Hey, newsflash. People on social media actually don't know it all. I don't know if you knew that.
If it happens on the internet, it doesn't have to be true, is the principle that I operate under.
Oh, in between being entertained and irritated every day. Well, almost with every comment.
Sometimes I have to hop on your page and make comments just to egg on the other people.
Yeah, I know.
It just pisses me off.
Oh God, it's yeah. Like I said, irritated or entertained. I don't know which one it is, but it's one of them.
Yeah. Your kids are older. Mine are like right in the 11, 14, and 16. And I tell you what, it's a challenge with that level of connectivity and how far out they can reach and interact. Not always in the best
I know.
and most appropriate manners.
Yeah. It's a crazy time.
I try to teach them my elevator principle, which is don't say anything on social media that you wouldn't say in a broken down elevator to somebody's face.
Oh, right. Yeah. That's good advice.
Consequences are real in a broken down elevator.
I need that sometimes because the trolls.
You get a little hot under the brow sometimes.
Usually, and I've explained this before too, but here's how it is. When I start off in the morning, I'm in a good mood. It's all good. Got the whole day ahead of me. By the evening, after reading a few different retarded comments, I'm like, okay, fuck this guy. I can't. I'm like,
do you ruminate and go back to the same comment and just let it pick you a little bit?
I don't know. Sometimes I'll comment like I'm irritated, then again, but in the morning it's like, hey, this is a new page, I forgot all about it.
Yep.
And then I'll be like, oh shit, did I say that last okay. Yeah, that was after a full day. You got to kind of give me a pass on that, but whatever. It's
that level of connection is amazing, but yeah, there's some downside to it too, like people thinking you can feed a family of 20 for 3 years
forever
off one elk.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I get that a lot, and I've had to explain out the math to it, how much meat you get off a bull, how many people my boys eat like basically a full elk a day.
Yeah.
So
your oldest son looks like an elk.
Yeah. So these guys are in truth, the younger son is like, he eats. I mean, we went out to breakfast this morning and, my wife said, hey, you should take that bacon home because I'm sure you can make a sandwich out of it when you get home because I'm sure you'll be hungry when we get home.
Yeah, if
from
it even makes the car ride.
Right. So,
yeah,
these guys they pound the protein. Definitely.
My kids will get to-go plates, and then I'll find them in the back of my truck just empty.
Yeah.
With forks, and it just drives me nuts. Like forks in the side of the door. I'm like, no, not in Dad's truck. It's my baby.
Yeah.
It's the only nice thing I have.
I understand. Yeah.
So you were down at the hunting expo?
In Salt Lake, yeah, it was the Hunt Expo, it's called.
Is that basically the SHOT Show of the hunting world?
Yeah, it's the SHOT Show, as you know, is an industry show.
Yep.
And so this is a consumer show.
So people can actually buy things there?
Yeah. Yeah, and the public can go in. SHOT Show is just supposed to be for industry.
Emphasis on supposed.
You're right. Yeah, there's a lot of just fans in there too, but
sure.
But the consumer show, the Hunt Expo, it's all about the public. So,
is this where they do those raffles?
Yeah.
I've heard legendary tales
Yep.
of these raffles, like lifetime
Yeah.
hunts that go out for.
Yeah, and you have to be there to win.
You physically have to be present when they draw it?
Right. So the odds are pretty dang good for getting an awesome tag. And
what do they charge for the tickets?
It's like $5 a ticket. But the more you buy, of course, the I haven't actually even done it, but I've heard a lot about it.
I feel like your hunting calendar might be booked as it is.
It is. It's like I just, I'm already. I go on hunts that I don't deserve to go on already, so it's like
I know how that feels.
I'd have to bump. I don't know. I mean, I can't lose right now. So
how far out in advance do you schedule your stuff?
I'm not. I don't ever. I don't even know for sure if I'll be here in September. I'm like, people who plan these trips and all this years down the road, the way I live or my mindset is, if I want to do something, I want to do it like tomorrow, because the tomorrow's not really guaranteed. But so I pretty much schedule every year. The only thing what have I scheduled out? I scheduled out, and this never happens, but a lion hunt in BC for next year.
A mountain lion hunt.
Yeah, I've never killed a lion, and it's lion and wolf.
I think they have them by where I live in Kalispell. Actually, I'm positive I do, because my neighbor
for sure
cuts tracks, is I think the way he describes it.
Yeah.
I see the footprints. However, I've never seen one. I suspect that they're watching me.
Yeah, that's the thing. They're out. There's a lot of them, but people usually don't see them during the daylight.
Yeah, I don't think I'm a fan of a cat that large.
Yeah, I know. They're killers. So I'm going to go to BC and do that, and that's one where I've actually planned now, that it's not like, hey, can I come next week?
I assume you probably hit a spring bear up.
Yeah, I'll do spring bear. I'm doing that coming up. I'll go to Alberta for that.
Do you go up there with the rivets, right?
Yep. Rivets. That's always that's a hunt where I like taking newer hunters, because it's more controlled, and I can be there and say, this is a boar, wait till leg goes forward, shooting at, that whole thing.
Yeah.
And so that's where that was Joe's first bow hunt, was for bear. And then I've taken some other people up there for their first hunt, trying to get Goggins up there, see if he can get an arrow on a bear too. So
that'd be pretty sweet.
That's the plan. Yeah.
Is he at least getting reps in with his bow?
I don't know. I hope so. I know he's running. And
I don't think you should talk smack to anybody about running, because you probably ran today, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, guaranteed. Yeah. No, the only thing.
It's healthy shit talking.
Yeah. It is. No, Goggins, I like.
There's 100% chance he's running right now.
Yeah, he put up a video today, and I was like, God, what is he? I want a new video every day. I just love he's pissed off. He's like intense, and I freaking love it. And
I can't figure out if he's actually pissed.
He's more intense.
Yeah. I never worked directly with him. We pass each other on occasion. I actually don't know him. I said, we never worked directly with each other. So I look at him, I'm like, are you actually that mad?
I don't know. I don't know if he'd be, I don't know. I don't think would be mad per se, but he's intense, and he just, I know, like me, excuses, it's just like people will come up with a million different reasons why. And so he's not about that.
Yeah.
About why they shouldn't do this or shouldn't do that, or
he certainly believes what he believes.
He does.
Safe way to put that.
Whatever he's saying is with conviction.
There is no doubt that he has belief in what he is saying.
Yeah.
For sure. Yes. Some of his videos, I'm like, I'm going to go take a nap because I'm exhausted after watching you expend that much energy.
I know. He's like, yeah. So I love it. I know everybody's got their
cup of tea.
They do. Yeah. And some people, I think, it's like anybody. It's like, especially there's some people who are polarizing, as people say, and either you love them or you hate them.
Yep.
That's all there's. People feel like that about me, so I get it.
You fall into that category for sure.
So I get it. I'm in the category of love Goggins and what he's about. So yeah, and I'd like to get him on a I hooked him up with a bow, and he came out here and we shot, and I'd love to take him on a first hunt.
That would be really cool. I think obviously with my limited knowledge, I think the bear would be a good exposure, like you said, because it's not all of a sudden you're like,
I know,
do 8 things.
Well, if you thought you were going to go and do a high country mule deer hunt for your first bow hunt,
I mean, that'd be a good way to get somebody to hate bow hunting.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, oh, did you never want to bow hunt again?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah. That'd be the story. The stories would start like, I used to bow hunt.
Yeah, I went one time.
Yeah.
What'd you do? I hiked for 15 miles a day and never saw a goddamn deer.
And it was impossible. So, so that's not that's like one of the hardest hunts. Or even, you know, I've always, the axis that we do on Lanai is, I mean, there's a lot of animals. Shit's not easy over there.
I had my teeth kicked in for 4 days over there before I got one.
Yeah.
Like there was no wind. Barkle and I was literally talking to Barkle. I'm like, do you think you can kill yourself with a bow? Like, can I hold it and draw with my foot and put it on
Yeah.
no. And so it'd be like, I'd be like crawling, bow on my back, just the lightest of breeze on my face. And I'd finally like get behind a bush.
Yeah.
And get up and like get everything ready and then just feel it. I'm like,
yeah.
And then they're off.
Or you can do everything right and they'll just dodge your arrow like Matrix.
Yeah, I saw Barkle had a photographer who he took I wasn't there, and I don't want to make it sound too short, but I think it was a 30-yard shot.
Okay.
But the photographer had it on super high frame rate.
Yeah.
And you could see the frame at which the animal recognized that the arrow was incoming.
Yeah.
And the next frame, the muscular, like vascularity of it looked like a different animal because every single muscle fiber was engaged.
I believe it.
And then the arrow is just gone.
Yeah.
But I think it had to have been hundreds of frames. I don't know, maybe a second, but it was rapid.
Yeah.
But the shift between everything is fine to full, we're getting out of here, was one frame.
Yeah, immediate. Yeah. It's, you know, I left this year and I had killed a couple bucks, and then Joe was still hunting with Dudley, and he sent me a couple different clips where big bucks. I mean, they were nice, and standing there perfectly broadside, everything's good, shoot, and just like 10 yards away by the time the arrow got there. And it's just like the arrow's more than halfway because he has a lighted knock, and you can see it. It's like here's the buck standing there, everything's looking good, and then gone, and then the arrow hits. It's like,
I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah,
I took a shot there.
It's pretty frustrating.
And I hit the animal and its rack, and it bounced around, and it sounded like kicking a soccer ball down a hallway. Just I was like, how?
Yeah.
What? I don't like bow hunting anymore.
No. Yeah, so that's what I say. There's a few hunts that
But stalking wise, oh man,
it's great practice.
Well, yeah, because you would blow one and get pissed, and then look at that over there.
Yeah, there's another one.
Yeah.
But it's like, so yeah, I mean, you can talk about these different hunts. Like I said, a high country mule deer hunt would be not a good first one. That axis can be a tough one, even for a new bow hunter, because they're so dialed in. But bear, perfect. We like black bear for bow hunting, and they need to be killed up there. There's so many freaking bear.
I guess I could get a tag in Montana too. It's ridiculous. I moved from California, where I don't think there's much hunting going on, especially where I lived in San Diego, to a place where
they have bear there. They're like
in Cali.
Yeah, they're like gay guys, aren't they?
That's a different type. Yeah, those are indoor bears. You're not allowed to bow hunt indoors.
Yeah.
Well, I moved to Montana, and it's like people fly from all over the world to hunt there, and I'm like going to Alberta.
Yeah, you're flying out.
I didn't use my elk tag last year.
Oh, okay.
I ran out of time, but I also looked at my freezer. I'm like, I cannot ethically do this.
Oh, right. It was jammed.
It was jammed. I had 2 bulls in there. I couldn't believe it.
So you killed a bull in Utah and
Alberta.
Oh, okay.
We got so sick.
Was it a big bull in Alberta, wasn't it?
I describe it as the biggest bull that's ever been killed in Alberta.
Yeah, I remember it was like was it 6x7?
No, not at all. It had 2 little spikes coming up.
Oh, am I thinking the year before? You killed a big one somewhere.
The biggest one that was it. That was on 9/11 in 2018.
In the rain.
Yeah, that was on 9/11.
Okay, so year before. Okay,
yeah, year before. No, the one in Alberta was weird. It had 2 shafts coming up and like little cup horns.
Oh, really?
But we had been so sick for the days before that.
Oh.
Like I was laying in bed and I felt like somebody had taken sewing needles and they were jabbing them into all of my joints.
Yeah, so that wasn't comfortable?
It was not awesome. And then at first I was the only one that was sick, so I was super pissed. And then Dudley started to be in pain. I was like, yes.
Yeah.
And everybody else started to get sick. And then I hear Dudley in the hallway. He's like, I'm dying. And then I was dying laughing.
Oh, God. Sounds fun.
And we had like 3 days left. We had a full 48-hour shutdown. Like there was just death impending at the house.
God.
And Dudley's like, hey, we should go out and maybe just go sit at the side of the field. So I'm just laying, just I don't even like my bow was off somewhere else. I'm like, I don't even want to be out here.
Yeah.
And we were out there hours earlier than we had seen them. And my guide, I think we were both taking a nap, and he happened to pick his head up. He was like, "Get your bow."
Oh.
I was like, "Shut up." And I just sit up, and there's their elk out in the field.
Oh.
And he started cow calling and drew one over. I was like, well, okay.
Do this.
Let's do this.
How far was it?
It was in the 60s.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You hit him good?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And then chased him into the woods, and yeah, I mean, we got him out of there. Wasn't huge. He was just kind of unique.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
steak knife handle unique. Like
Yeah.
nothing to hang on the
It's
wall.
all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
Hey, when just getting animals on the ground is when you're first starting off.
Yeah.
You
I went from an empty freezer to the opening. I got a mule deer, my first mule deer, and I was on my own.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I had blown enough stalks the previous 2 years that they were feeding towards me, and it had been raining, and I'm like, I gotta get this rain gear off because it's too loud. So I stripped it all off. I was on the other side of this little berm.
Oh.
And used that and tried to guess where they were going to come across. And there was 3 of them, and I was watching them walking, and they disappeared. I was like, well, here we go. And I just drew back into an open hole and waited.
Yeah.
Next thing I know, I see a rack coming out. Let the first one go. Shot the second one. Should have shot the third one because he was bigger. But I remember when I let that arrow go, thinking, holy shit, that just happened.
Yeah.
Like, I thought he was going to come through that spot.
Yeah.
He did come through that spot because I wanted to stop like 60 yards farther down.
That's our instinct we're talking about, right?
I was just so angry. I wanted to kill something.
Yeah. Hey, I've been there too.
I think that might be part of it as well.
Yeah. Nothing feels quite as good as success. You go out, you set, and it doesn't, that's to me, people get wrapped up in the size of the animals. It's like, man, if you go out with a bow with the goal of getting an animal on the ground, just feel good about it. It doesn't matter. I mean, there's
muley was tiny. Like,
there's no easy bow hunt. That's the thing. It's like,
well, I go back to my kids. They're like, Dad, why didn't you get an elk? And I'm like, I apologize for not getting an elk every time that I go out.
Right.
I don't know how to describe. I mean, you can talk about the difficulty and the things that you have to do, but I don't know. And then sometimes they just change their mind.
Oh, man,
they just go the other direction.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. So many things have happened. So many crazy things can happen that keep them alive. I mean, they're out there. An old bull's been around, say, 10 years. How many different, and they just like we talk about hunting instinct, they have instinct as well. That's like, this doesn't feel right. And they're out of there. So, I mean, they've been through it.
How do you think they are, like 1 to 4, relatively kind of rookie status? They're not really sure what's going on.
They haven't been. I mean, especially one. A spike is going to be,
What's going on over there?
Yeah, right. But a few years, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, those are the smaller, like the raghorn bulls. They'll make mistakes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once those bulls get older, then you better hope it's the rut. And
they don't have a tolerance for much, do they?
No, not those old bulls. Those old, unless it's breeding, Yeah,
and then they have no brain.
And then that's one reason why the Deseret's so good is because that competition keeps them aggressive, because they know the cows are only going to be in heat, and once they get bred, then it's over. So the competition. So if you do a cow call and I always like doing like a whiny cow call, so it's more of a drawn out. It's like a cow in heat. That those bulls will be like, oh, there's a cow in heat, I'm on it. And
do they just start moving when they first hear that?
Usually, yeah. I mean, it takes the bull has to be in the right frame of mind also.
Yeah.
So there's a lot for them to come charging into a call. There's a lot of different things that have to happen, but them thinking a cow's in heat, and by either when you're bugling and cow calling, then a bull could think that, oh, that bull has a cow in heat pinned down, or if you cow call like a cow in heat, then they're coming. So either one of those would work.
Yeah.
And they're herd animals, so they like excitement. So you can make a bull that's not wound up. You can wind them up.
Get them all hot and bothered.
Yeah, and they'll stay in the distance, and then like they'll call, you cut them off, like you start bugling while they're bugling, and they're like, "What the fuck is that?" And that pretty soon they'll get mad, and then they'll come over. But yeah, so there's all sorts of different things, but it's fun.
What year did you hunt your first elk?
89.
Did you get one?
Yeah, I got right there. See it right there? See that little spike down there on the ground?
Stop it.
Yeah,
It's awesome.
that's it. First bull.
89.
Yeah.
Had you hunted? You hadn't hunted before that at all?
I'd rifle hunted deer for 3 years.
What got you into it?
Roy, my buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we went to high school together. I started rifle hunting when I was 15. So I killed a spike buck when I was 15, 16, 17, then started bow hunting. I think 18 is what I was. I'm trying to think I think it was 18 or maybe 19. But anyway, I rifle hunted for deer. I never elk hunted for elk. And then that was my first elk tag was for that.
Why'd you switch over from rifle to bow?
Roy just said it was awesome. There's more animals, less people.
Earlier in the season.
We can hunt longer. I mean, because rifle season just wasn't that long, and so bow season all of a sudden now you can hunt for 30 days, all of September essentially, and so we just wanted to hunt more. So he got a bow. He bow hunted the year before I did, and then he told me I should do it. He was a year older than me in high school, and then he graduated high school. Then I got out, and then that's what we did.
Did you guys have to wear orange?
No, not to bow hunt.
That's my favorite part about bow hunting is not wearing orange.
Yeah, well, Oregon, you don't have to wear orange anyway.
That's not safe.
Even for rifle.
That's
right?
not safe. There's a reason why they make people wear orange.
that's right. Yeah.
There's a story behind every orange vest.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but yeah, we So we just had shitty gear, shitty bows.
What were you using for your resource of knowledge? Just like local gouge, talking to people who've been hunting longer than you?
Yeah. There's no internet. I didn't know. I mean, I knew one person or two people who had killed a bull with a bow in the world. I mean, that's all I knew. Two.
Yeah.
And they lived in the little town I lived in. It's Marcola. It's this tiny little logging town outside of Springfield here. And so I would go over to their house, and I'd shoot all the time. They had like these rock cliffs right by their house. So we'd put targets up, and we'd go shoot up there and shoot down. And they had killed, actually, the son had killed the world record Roosevelt, like that one, bigger than that one, but not at the time, not much bigger than that bull there. And that it was a world record. Then his dad had killed the number 4 bull. So I had good resources.
Yeah.
The only two people I knew had killed the world record.
They were heavy hitters.
Yeah, they were. So I learned a lot from those guys. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it can be overstated the importance of having somebody that you can draft off of.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Can you imagine just going to like the bow rack and be like, I will take the bow hunting suite number 1?
Yeah, I know. Well, that's how most people did it, with no internet. And, you'd read a hunting magazine every once in a while, and there'd be some stuff in there. But it was mostly trial and error.
Yeah. Speaking about that, it was interesting. This year, for the first time, people who I suspect have been bow hunting for a while started getting pissed at me.
Yeah.
Like, oh, must be nice.
God.
all you new bow hunters out there, working all around fences and da-da-da.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, like,
yeah,
isn't it better for everybody that there are more bow hunters? Like, I'm extremely honest about where I go and, like, the situation. Yeah. I mean, I'm not trying to – half the time when I'm successful, it's because of luck, if not 3/4.
Yeah.
And I just found it odd that they were so protective of just the entire activity. Like, how dare you, new bow hunter, come into our terrain and go hunt where I will never get a tag? And it's like, but if I offered it to you, I bet you would take it, wouldn't you?
They would take it, yeah. Yeah, that's, part of it is because it's so hard.
Yeah.
It's like when they see somebody new have success, they take it personally. It's like it hurts because it's like they might have, you think about success with the bow on bulls is 10%. So 90% of people every year are failing. So some people, or you can think about it like this, where if it's 10%, you're going to kill a bull 1 out of every 10 years. All right. So then you see a new bow hunter come and kill 2 bulls or whatever you did, or kill a bull and big bull right out of the gate. And you're like, those guys are like, what is going on? It hurts.
Yeah.
Because it's
I can understand that.
they have put their whole whatever into this, saved up all year, saved money, worked their butt off, done everything, scouted, found, researched the maps, and that doesn't guarantee anything because you can still have a great opportunity to screw it up.
Yeah.
So when they don't have success after putting that much into it than you do, instead of saying, well, good for him, it's really hard for some people to do that.
Yeah. Instead, they're like, you're a piece of shit.
Exactly.
You should not hunt. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's nice to meet you, sir. Also have a nice
I know.
day.
So it's just the only reason why, it doesn't seem right. And it's just like, but I have been on the other side because
I can understand that.
I've been the person. I remember there was this guy here in town and he went 12 years with killing, I think it was a 300-inch bull, which is a pretty good bull for Oregon. It's not for other states, it'd be nothing, but Oregon is a shit state to hunt. It's like, it's not. It's the only people hunting in Oregon is people from here because that's their only
Oregonians.
choice. Yes, nobody's coming here to hunt generally, and there's no absolute. So I'm sure somebody is coming in here to hunt. So just relax, just whatever. It's just
people right now are like, "Damn, you came! I was there last year."
It's just an illustration. But anyway, he had killed. For 12 consecutive years, killed a 300-inch bull with a bow.
So just smashing the odds.
Yeah. I mean, every single year. And I couldn't kill one. It took me, that bull hanging on the wall just with no mount, just like the skull mount.
Yep.
That was my best bull, a 6x6. That's not even 300, but it's close. But that took me 8 years of bow hunting to get one. That was my first decent bull. And that was in 97.
And how many days per year would you say you were out there?
At that time, man, almost every day. I mean, I quit school. I worked part-time. I didn't care about anything else.
I was going to say, my next question was how many days per year were you thinking about it?
Every single day. But no, people don't realize how obsessed I've been with elk. It's like people get into different things, and this is their hobby. And it's like, no, you have no idea. No, this is all I've ever cared about. This is like to an unhealthy level to where I'm not going to go to work. I'm not going to go to school. I'm going elk hunting. I don't care what happens. So anyway, the point is it took me 8 years to kill that bull. This guy was killing one for 12 consecutive years, big bulls. And I was like, how? I was mad. I was like, how I would be driving to Eastern Oregon where I killed that bull. It's 8-hour drive thinking about this guy, about
that's super healthy.
Just obsessing. And so when I see those comments like you're saying, I get it.
Yeah. Okay. I never had that experience.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. To some degree, I'm like, listen, you guys need to calm down. I've been killing shit for a long
that's
time.
True. That's true. I mean, that is true. They do need to calm down.
Yeah.
But we're an imperfect species. You know what I mean? And so I think I just know that because when I see that, and I get a lot of shit too.
Yes.
Trust me. And I just know part of me knows where some of that comes from. I mean, I've been the poor guy who couldn't do shit. So.
Did you ever think you'd have a room like this?
Hell no.
Because this is unbelievable.
Yeah, no, I never thought it did.
But it all started with passion, though. I think that's what I like the most. Just listening to you, like driving 8 hours, just ruminating and pissed, but skipping your job.
Yeah. No, this has been my obsession, and so it's like
people don't see that though.
Yeah,
they see is this room, and they're like,
they see the results.
They're like, hey, it must be nice.
Yeah, they see the results. They don't. I don't think they want to go through not just what I went. I'm not trying to say I'm whatever, but just even the mental part that I went. That it wasn't. It was tough. I mean, me and Roy, we'd be. A lot of people have done this, but we were in the wilderness, and I remember laying there. Freezing. Our first year back there, it was like one of the coldest Septembers in I don't know how long, but so down in La Grande, it got to 8 degrees, and we were up on the mountain. So if it's 8 degrees in town,
2 degrees per 1,000.
Right? Who knows what it was? But we all our clothes on, cheap sleeping bags, like the sleeping bags with the flannel with the pheasants on it. The cheapest. Everything. We didn't have poured anything. Just freezing, sleeping with boots on. And it's just like I go, dude, this isn't fun. And he goes, he's like, no, it's not. He goes, but it's not always going to be fun. And I was just like, no, it's not always going to be fun, is it? And I ended up killing that was not my first year, but another spike bull. That was my first wilderness bull on that hunt. And so that was really drove home that, no, it's going to be miserable sometimes, but that's part of the deal.
Yeah.
And so I don't, I went through a lot of self-torture on those years, and like over analyzing and being jealous of people, and making the wrong priorities, wondering if I was going to have to file bankruptcy because I put a whole hunt on my visa. So I don't, when I say people don't want to do what I did, they don't.
Yeah.
But so then when it works out, then it feels pretty good.
It should feel good. You paid for it in blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah, definitely.
God.
Definitely.
How many years did you and Roy hunt together?
Let's see. So we started, we went to high school together, but so if we started in 89, then he died in 2015. So how long is that?
89, 11, 26 years?
Yeah, 26 years.
God damn.
And we'd hunt every year, epic, big hunts. So 20, and you know how it goes. Like I've always said, if you go on a hunt with somebody, it's like you have a bond pretty quick, right? Because you have the same goal, you're going through the same trials and tribulations. So it's just probably, I would imagine it'd be like when you were in deployment with guys. It's like that bond.
It's a
brotherhood.
You figure it out real quick.
Yeah.
You figure out if that person's going to be a really good friend.
Yeah.
Or if you're just going to keep them at an arm's distance.
Yep.
It's like, I like these people.
Yeah.
You should go sleep over there.
Right. Well, so when you have that connection on a hunt, it can happen pretty quickly. So we had hundreds of hunts. So the connection was like,
incredibly deep.
Definitely brothers.
Yeah.
And so it's we did a lot of hunting together for sure.
The video, I think Under Armour made it for you when he passed, when you found out that he passed. That was incredibly powerful. It was actually one of the first ones I ever watched.
Yeah.
With you in it. I was like, God damn.
Yeah. Yeah. That was terrible. That was
How did he end up dying?
He fell sheep hunting.
Just slipped in off a sheer cliff?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah. It's the sheep's in the house in there, that from that same country. It's where I killed my sheep, and we were together when I killed mine, and then our last hunt together was a moose hunt in Alaska. The film is called The Tribute. And so that was our last hunt together. Then 2 weeks later, he had this sheep hunt, and it's there. It's on Pioneer Peak, right out of Wasilla, Alaska. I mean, you can see the mountain. It's really weird because you're up on the mountain, and it is. You can die obviously up there, but you can see town. You can hear cars.
Oh, really?
But you're 6,000 feet up, and it feels like. We could actually, with the spotting scope, see Roy's house, way down in the valley. And it's like you're so close to comfort and safety, and you might as well be a million miles away. So
especially if something happens, yeah.
So that hunt, that country is very rugged. The sheep know where to go to be safe generally, and so they're up in the nastiest parts. And where he fell was actually, we had been in there many times. It was. He'd killed 9 rams with his bow, which is, I would say, probably more than anybody ever. I asked somebody from Alaska the other day if anybody has killed more bows or rams with a bow than Roy, and they couldn't think of any. Maybe the Dr. Frost up there, he's killed a lot, but so maybe one other guy. But Roy he was a sheep hunter, right? So he had been in country like this probably thousands of times, and it was just he was looking up, it's like really steep, so it was getting towards the end of the day, and he wanted to find a chute to go up to get up to where they could camp. Mm-hmm. He was with a friend, and was just kind of looking at a route, and something happened. Either a rock under his foot slipped, or he stepped too far, or something happened, and he just fell backwards off. And
fuck.
And that was, So that was 2015.
Yeah, that's rough. I'm sorry that happened.
Yeah, that was terrible. It was, was, yeah, it was
I would
life-changing.
suspect he at least passed doing something he would want to be doing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's
Doesn't make it any better.
no, it's it's just I feel bad, for his wife and for his kids.
Yeah, the people left behind.
He was, he was like the center of everything. He was like just a big personality. He was smart. The business kind of went through him, and then yeah, so it's like that's a huge hole to fill, and so and I went to school with his wife Jill, and she just stayed down. She does my books for me for my business. She's super smart, so she came and stayed down here a couple weeks ago and went through all for my taxes and stuff. So we're still close, and we were in the same class in high school, and then Roy was a class ahead of us. But so it was just it's really hard. It's still hard.
Yeah.
It just sucks. Terrible.
Yeah, I haven't found that it's gotten any easier for me.
Yeah.
With any of my friends either. It's like the people would think that with the passing of time that the emotions are coded over more.
Yeah.
And then a lot of times I feel like they are, and then sometimes I'm just like, God damn it. Like something super innocuous or small
Yeah.
would like jab itself in there, and I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm still not doing very well with this.
It's weird that you say that. I was speaking a couple weeks ago maybe, but I was at the Utah Bow Hunters Association banquet, and there's like 500 and some people there, and I was talking about bow hunting and kind of the journey, or starting new people in bow hunting, and who started me, and like who, then I've been involved in starting other people on this journey, right? So somebody made me this video of me and Roy, and it's Luke Bryan's song is "Drink a Beer,"
Yeah.
and so they put a bunch of our photos to that song, and I'd watched it, I'd put together this little presentation I was going to get, and I wanted to show that, and I had watched it before, obviously, and I'd posted it before, and when I was standing there watching it with everybody there playing it, I was just like, oh God, it just hit,
Crushed you?
it was rough, dude.
Yeah.
It was terrible. It was like I couldn't talk for a while, and it was just like I was just watching those photos go by, and it was man, it's you go through life and you feel pain and heartache, and that's part of life. It happens, but man, sometimes, some days, for whatever reason, some instances, it's just like it's as fresh as it ever was.
The bagpipes do it for me.
Really?
They
Is that the
fucking level me.
from
Funerals.
the funerals, right?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I just want to walk over and punch that bagpipe player right in the face.
Yeah,
Just take that
God.
thing from him. It's just instantaneous, and a lot of the times they'll be doing like a slideshow, and you're just like,
Yeah. Oh, it's
I'm
brutal.
fucking. I had to stop going to funerals. I couldn't do it. I literally, I couldn't do it anymore.
How many did you go to? I mean, how many?
People that I knew well, and then there's people that I was, peripheral to, probably 30.
Yeah. Wow.
I mean, there was a
It's
cost.
a lot of death.
There's a cost to it
Yeah.
for sure. One of the ones I didn't go to was the Extortion 17 helicopter, the 47 that went down in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Um,
And how many SEALs was that? It's like 20?
Yeah, 20, but that was my old troop and the
Oh.
two team. If I would have stayed at that command, I would have been on one of the two teams that was on that
Really?
helicopter.
Oh, God.
And one of the guys, the troop commander I went to buds with,
Oh.
a bunch of the guys had rotated in as I was leaving, so I had connections with them. And so there's 17 to 20 some guys in a day.
God.
Because of course, I was out of the military, and I maintained some good connections so I knew that there was a crash.
Yeah.
But notification of next of kin takes priority
Right.
over everything.
Yeah. Right.
So there's a crash,
Yeah.
but you don't know necessarily exactly the unit, and you don't know the names, and then they start to trickle.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, wait a minute, this guy is in that team
Right.
too, and then another name trickles out.
Oh, God.
It's rough, man.
That's terrible.
Yeah, it got to the point where even though I don't know, it probably would have meant an exceptional amount, or maybe they wouldn't have noticed one more person there, but I literally couldn't bring myself to go. and I hate the fucking bagpipes.
Yeah. God, I can't imagine. I mean, I don't know what you guys go through, but I mean, that's why, when people say, you want to thank people for their service, but it's just like that respect. It's it's just because I lost a dear friend of mine and it hurt. So I can't imagine. So that's the price, not only the guys who died pay, but people like you pay. And it's just like, man, it's just, I don't know. It's so moving. It's like, and it's so vital for our country, but also it's like when I remember when that helicopter went down and all those guys died. It's like, oh, God, it's just crushing. It's
hundreds of years of experience too.
Yeah.
Not only is it obviously the loss of life, but I mean, some of the guys on that helicopter were probably on their 10th, 12th, 13th deployment.
Amazing.
And just the knowledge that they were able to impart in, because the knowledge at those commands, I mean, you're definitely, they talk about at the tip of the spear or the top of the pyramid. You're definitely up there.
Yeah.
And it trickles down to the entire military.
That's a hole. I mean, that's a hole to fill. That would take.
And so they'll backfill it with bodies and they can bring newer people in, but it's not.
Not the same.
It's not the same. No. It's, every year or a couple of years ago, I think 300 and some SEALs got out and like 301 guys made it through BUDS. So a net gain of one person, one heartbeat, but a net loss of 6,000 years of experience. Yeah, it's tough.
I can't remember you would know the details obviously, but wasn't there like a lot of second guessing on why so many were together?
So, the postmortem of the operation and why people make decisions that they did, it always happens. So from my understanding, they were actually a QRF or a quick response force to another element. I believe it was actually a Ranger element.
Oh.
So overseas, when you're planning an operation, you got to plan for a variety of contingencies, the most likely course of action, the most deadly course of action, and you answer as many what ifs as you can before you go out the door. Yeah. Like, what if we get 2 guys hurt? Is that enough to continue, or do we need to call for help?
Okay.
And so you have to set all these criteria, and you put a package in to submit for mission approval, and you're like, listen, if something goes wrong, this is the element that's on standby to come help us. You don't want to call for help and then somebody go, okay, who's available?
Yeah.
You don't want to have that shit happen.
Make a plan.
So you make a plan. In my understanding, the Gold Squadron guys were standing by to be the QRF, and there was 2 potential routes that they could take. One of them was over a pass, and the helicopters would have been lift load limited, meaning they would have had to split into 2 helicopters, or they could take a route that came from low to high and not go over a pass.
Okay.
But they could fit them all into one.
Oh.
The decision to do that, I don't know the reasoning that put them all into one helicopter. That is, I would say, an atypical amount of people.
Yeah.
But when somebody on the radio calls for help, you go.
Yeah.
Because if you ever call for help, you don't want them to be like, oh, do you really need it? You're like, we're on the way, and the helicopters are spinning, and we'll be there as fast as we can. And the thing is, it took an RPG, and I have been shot at with RPGs so many times. It's funny, you watch them in the movies.
Yeah.
Everything's accurate.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like a laser beam. But in reality, they're fly like a goddamn boomerang. They're like, they're just corking off into space, and sometimes they don't go off, and half the time the guy firing them like closes his eyes and like smashes it into the ground right in front of him.
Right.
And that, but I mean, how many, eventually,
one's going to hit home.
10%, right?
Yeah.
And so it hit home, and from my understanding, it hit the ground hard, and then it just burned for hours.
God. So just bad luck, basically. The RPG was actually
essentially
accurate. Yeah.
I mean, it was nighttime, so I doubt that the person that shot it had any way to actually really line their sights up. They probably were going off of motion in the dark and some noise.
Yeah.
But like,
God dang.
If you shoot 100, 3 you're probably gonna hit. And
yeah, that's what I was always. Yeah, I mean.
So you can second guess the decisions they made or why you get on a helicopter, but it's irrelevant. I mean, you do the best that you can.
Yeah.
People think that stuff that happens overseas is very black and white. Oftentimes, I think it's gray.
Yeah.
They're like, why didn't they make a better decision? It's like, because, hey, fuckface, their choices were between a bad one and a bad one.
Yeah.
They had two bad decisions.
A bad one or a slightly better one.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
It's not like there was like this amazing shining halo decision and then this.
Well, obviously this one they should have done. Yeah. Yeah, no.
Like, yeah, from the comfort of your air-conditioned home with your $1,100 smartphone and $6 12-ounce coffee. It's like, shut up.
Yeah.
Like, they're doing the best that they can.
God, I know. I don't know, but I can imagine. I don't know. I mean, I've read a lot about, well, at least what's published about what you've done and
About what I've done personally, I haven't done a damn thing.
Yeah, you have.
No.
Yeah, you have.
I describe my career as aggressively average.
Well, I don't know.
I was around some very cool people.
Yeah.
My theory is that I'm not allowed to rate my career. It's my peers have to rate it, and if they say I suck, then I suck. And if they say, what I mean?
They didn't say you suck, I guess. I mean, I remember me and the kids looked up. This was like probably years ago now. I think when I first met you or whatever. But Bronze Stars, right?
Yeah, I have a few.
Right. So I mean, I don't know. You say average, I say incredible. But
yeah, I was surrounded by people though that. They would put their uniform on. I'm like, do you have to do extra shoulder on the left-hand side to carry that shit?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like they just got like war cabbage all over their chest. It's like, fuck.
Tell me like a story of who was somebody who stands out to you?
Oh, man. There've been a couple. I think though, probably the best examples, the people that left the marks on me the most are the ones that gave me the latitude to learn, but also taught me the most.
Okay.
And they'd be like, hey, this is your job. This is the end state. I'm not going to tell you how to do it.
Yeah.
Answer the questions that you can by yourself. I'm always here to help you, but you need to try to come up with the answers before you come to me.
Okay.
And then they would, give you responsibility and then the authority to go with it. And then the guys to me that stood out the most, that were the most impressive, that it just didn't matter what was happening in the world.
Yeah.
They were just cool, calm, and collected.
Yeah.
And they could think.
Yeah.
They could think their way through any type of stress or complexity. And it would, I guess if you were to put it on like an EKG, their emotional state is always just
static,
straight across.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
And it helps. I mean, I've been in environments where I was going to lose my shit for sure. Because it's like, okay, this is it. This really sucks. Yeah. And a dude who's in the exact same situation as you.
Right.
Just looks over and be like, hey, man, just stop being a pussy. And you're like,
fuck. Yeah, I can't imagine. I mean, I am infatuated with just the job you guys do or have done and the people like you doing it now. It's just, I don't know.
It was I don't know what I would do. Like you said, it was, elk was your thing. You did it because you were passionate. Yeah. I loved my job. Yeah. I knew I wanted to be a SEAL since I was 11. I have no idea why. People always ask me. I'm like, I don't know. It was like this gravitational pull. Right. I came from a military family on my mom and dad's side, but neither of them were like, hey, you should join the military. Yeah. And I was 17 when I went to the Navy recruiter's office without them. Right. Brought the recruiter to the house to sign the waiver because I wasn't old enough. And they're like, we will talk about this first. But then they both signed it. Really? And, pre 9/11. It was awesome. We trained, and I mean, we were blowing shit up, jumping out of airplanes, shooting stuff, diving, drinking enough alcohol to kill a human being every single day, working out hard, and then so you and the camaraderie was huge. Traveling the world, right? I imagine. I turned 20 in Seoul, Korea. Jeez. That's some experience. Yeah, and then I've been to Korea probably 5 or 6 times. So were you a SEAL like young? Yeah. So 18 or? No, I went through BUDS. When I went through BUDS, I was one of the younger guys that had been through at that point. Yeah. So I got my Trident when I was 20. Okay. It takes time. BUDS is 6 months. Then you have jump school. Then you go to your team. You're serving a year-long probation. You got to go through additional training. Okay. Then you got to take an oral board the way that I did it, an oral and a practical board where you'd go around and you'd have to plan a dive, put together a dive rig, take apart all these guns, put them back together, do navigation, do calculations on demo. Yeah. And then you get your Trident and they, the guys from your platoon take you behind the hut, and they pound it into your chest because it's got 3 metal prongs, and they each take a turn, which is awesome.
Can
and if
they still do that now?
I hope so.
Is that?
It's probably frowned upon, but some things that are frowned upon still need to happen.
Yeah.
But then, 9/11 hit, and it was a total shift. And I went out to the East Coast Command and was going through selection shortly after that. And they actually pulled us out of that about a month early and sent us overseas to go in the Karzai detail. So I went from conceptual and theoretical to very practical
to real
fast. And I got back from that, and then we went over to Iraq 1. I was in the initial invasion of Iraq.
Really?
The very first target we hit was the #1 chem bio target in Iraq.
No way.
And we had, before we based out of Saudi Arabia, we had the intelligence, people always make fun of military intelligence, and they should to a degree, but it serves a purpose. So we knew we were looking at where we were going to go. We at least had the first few set up. And I remember being in Virginia Beach and looking at these models and this is how we're going to do it. I'm like, this shit's never going to happen.
Yeah.
And then the next thing you know, we're on C-17s to Saudi Arabia, and then we're sitting in these tents. And I remember watching Bush on the TV. Saddam's got 48 hours, I think it was.
Yeah.
And then it's like, all right, gents, we're launching tomorrow night. And so it was the #1 chem bio target in the country. So we had to hit it in MOP level 4, which you need to ask your oldest about MOP level 4, mission oriented protective posture.
Yeah.
It's basically a hazmat suit.
Oh.
But you have all your shit on too.
Yeah. Oh God.
So full everything, taped seams, the gloves, gas mask with a blower, body armor, helmet.
Worried about chemical weapons?
Yeah, we were.
Okay.
We thought we were going to where this is where the shit's going down right now.
Yeah.
And then night vision goggles.
Yeah.
Which you can't even see that. You can see fine through them if you can get them close to your eyes.
Yeah.
But a gas mask has that buffer.
Right.
So it's just up against so you're looking through straws, and everybody's just looking around.
God.
And it was a 4-hour flight in to the far side of the country in helicopters. Yeah. Missiles went underneath us as we were midair refueling on a C-130.
Whoa. Jeez.
We get there 1 minute before I was the third 47 on the way in, and they blew up a power transformer. And so there was a massive fireball in the background.
Yeah.
And we flew the helicopters in front of it. Note to self, don't do that because you're backlit. So every helicopter that landed had more and more rounds impacted. So the bird I was on ended up having 27 rounds in it.
Oh,
and at about 1 minute out, the door gunner got shot in the face right in front of me. Mind you, this is the first target I've ever been on. I'm like, okay.
That's quite a christening.
It is. And so we smash in, and then we run in, and the little birds, they're flying around. They actually put those into a C-130, landed them in the desert ahead of us, pulled the helicopters out, and then joined us in flight.
Really?
So we had snipers on those things flying around the city, getting in gunfights.
God.
There was a gunfight in the street.
Whoa.
And we're in this goddamn building that's supposed to be the #1 chem bio target. And it was an agricultural school. There's textbooks. I just ripped my mask off at some point because I would have rather died from sarin gas than suffocation.
Oh my God. What an experience.
Well, and that's how I ended up meeting Pat Tillman. Because
Really?
he was the backup to one of the gunners. We had Rangers that were coming in blocking positions.
Yeah.
This hard-as-nails Ranger on the way in got shot through both lungs, went in and came out. He ran off 100 yards, realized he probably should go to the hospital.
Yeah.
Ran back to the helicopter and got back on the helicopter and got flown out to the to the hospital.
God.
Tillman and his brother Kevin ended up filling those roles. So
really,
yeah, we hung out with. I was washing my jacket from that night because I had tied it around the guy's head.
Yeah.
And it was my favorite jacket. I'm still pissed about it to this day because the water looked like fruit punch and it just wasn't cleaning off. And I looked over into the desert and there was a guy doing wind sprints with a parachute on. I'm like, who in the fuck is this?
Was that Tillman?
Pat Tillman.
Getting a workout?
Yeah, getting a workout and just a quick cardio sesh.
During all this.
No, afterward. This was the day after.
Okay.
We flew back that night, another 4 hours.
Oh, back.
We had to fly back another 4 hours. We land. Didn't realize the extent of the damage on the helicopters till we went and saw it in the daytime. I distinctly remember waking up in the morning, and I wasn't drinking coffee yet in my life.
Yeah.
And sitting down, I'm just scratching my eyes and waking up. And a buddy of mine, Mike, was sitting there. He was drinking coffee, and I was like, "Hey, man, I don't think we're gonna live if we keep doing this every night.
Really? God. Did that like after a night of drinking? Did that really happen?
Oh, we didn't even need to drink after that.
Yeah,
it was
I
just
bet.
like collapse into your bed,
Oh, God.
and then and then within a week we were in Baghdad doing ops out of that, and in between that week we went in and got Jessica Lynch. I mean, it was
Really?
yeah, it was nuts, man.
Oh my God, dude. Those are like, you read about, war accounts. Like,
Yeah.
you guys were doing it.
To the best of our ability. I think we were just running around like little fuckwits, but
Well, like just famous or just making history.
yeah, I mean, I've never really looked at it like that. It's just some of it is still surreal. I did a podcast episode with Jessica Lynch.
Really?
Yeah, I went and sat with her. She had never spoken with somebody from the side that came in to look for her.
Oh.
So I got to talk to her about everything that led up to it, and then I got to explain it to her from.
So were you there? Like, were
Yeah.
you part of it?
Yeah.
Oh,
That was the
God.
second target we did in Iraq was Jessica Lynch Rescue.
And so tell me, like, who had her?
I think it's up for debate. It started with, a wrong turn because
Yeah.
the velocity with which the forces were advancing was outpacing the supply.
Okay.
So they were hauling ass. So
Yeah.
they were supposed to be, I believe, one convoy. But in
Yeah.
Nasiriyah, they made a turn and they went into an area that was controlled by the Fedayeen,
Yeah.
and they got hammered. They got ambushed, and she was knocked unconscious pretty much right from the initial wreck.
Oh.
Pretty well documented how abused she was from use your imagination, right?
Yeah.
Variety of perspectives.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I asked her directly or she brought it up. There have been people who have said that they tried to get her to an American checkpoint in an ambulance, but at that time also the Fedayeen were using ambulances to shuttle people around and also explosives
For ops. Yeah.
for ops. So they're like, well, we tried to bring her in an ambulance and we got shot at, which is possible. I
Yeah.
can see how that could happen. I don't know if it actually did.
Right.
She was in a hospital that was being used essentially as like a Fedayeen stronghold because they're smart enough to realize,
Yeah.
Mosques and hospitals and stuff like that were
Yeah.
unlikely to drop
Right.
ordnance into those things.
Yeah, be a target.
I don't know how much guard she was under by the time that we got there. So we landed 2 helicopters on the roof, and then helicopters came in the courtyard. So I was on the 3rd helicopter that landed, and we just ran in. By the time we got
Is that
there,
a hospital?
it was a hospital.
Okay.
She was on. We had proof of life from the doctor. He had walked in with a camera in his bag,
Oh.
and briefly had flashed it past her face.
Nice.
So we had actually taped out the ground, and we were
Oh.
doing practice rehearsals
Yeah, right.
at the airfield. She wasn't in that room though.
Oh, okay.
We're like, damn it, foiled again. She was
Yeah.
on the other side of the hallway.
Right.
I still remember the layout of that hospital. We came in and went up the stairs, spiraled around once, came out of that. There was a T intersection, made a right. She was supposed to be in like the 3rd room on the right. She was
Yeah.
in the 3rd room on the left. So
Oh,
we eventually
okay.
found her. And I think that at that point, all the Fedayeen people had just bailed,
Oh.
and she wasn't any value. She was extremely fucked up.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So I thought she might die anyway.
Yeah, I mean, she had a huge gash on her head, spinal issues and stuff like that. So it was actually the resistance on target. There was none whatsoever.
Oh.
It was blown out of proportion.
Right.
The city itself, there was a ton of shooting that went on in the city just throughout the course of the entire initial push through, and then anytime anybody was in there. But that night,
Yeah.
we didn't know that. The last thing that we got was, there's somewhere between 50 to 500 Fedayeen, and you can
God.
fit 27 people on the helicopters. So
Not looking good numbers wise.
it's not.
Yeah.
That's what I launched with. I'm like 50,
Yeah.
50 to 500
Yeah.
people that we're going to encounter. I got 27 of my friends.
Yeah.
Let's go fucking party.
Oh, God.
But you take that risk, though,
Yeah.
for hostage
yeah.
rescue.
Right.
It's not something that, if you were to take those odds and it was just a IED facilitator, you'd be like, how about we catch
Right.
the guy on the move?
Right. Yeah.
Let's wait until he gets into a car and
Yeah.
we don't have to go
to get her. Yeah.
to get another
It's worth
That's the way it
yeah.
should be.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, I think it should mean something, and I think you should accept that risk.
Yeah.
Fortunately, nobody got hurt.
Yeah.
and there
that's
was,
awesome.
but there was,
What a
and
success.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think once we finally got her, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so glad there's not 500 people here.
Yeah. No kidding. Yeah. Do the math real quick. We have to kill 20 each. Yeah. It's not great.
Yeah, at some point.
God.
Yeah. And then straight into one of the first C-130s into Baghdad. and they put us in this hangar, the bird shit hangar. There was pigeons that would fly over the top of us all during the day on the inside and just shit on us as we sleep. And there was just like bullet holes everywhere.
Yeah.
And we would get like a projector and like watch movies on the nights we were watching.
Wow.
Or out banging targets. And like I'd sit there and just throw, homemade tape balls back and forth with Kevin and Pat Tillman. And
Actually, it sounds pretty fun.
it was awesome.
It sounds like a good time.
We'd get pellet guns and like shoot the pigeons and they would like spiral off
Yeah.
onto people's racks while they were sleeping. It was amazing. Like, yes.
Yeah, I can't imagine the camaraderie and the brotherhood as we talked about.
0 showers for 90 days.
Yeah, but you get eventually like a film over you.
Yeah.
Like
I just would take my camis off and stand them up and they would just be there waiting for me the
Yeah.
next day.
It's like a protective film.
But we were, flying little birds through downtown Baghdad and like
Yeah.
skidding them on to a stop
That sounds amazing.
at courtyards, throwing up breaching charges. It's just like, this is amazing.
I don't get how you go from, I talk about even elk hunting, like a bull's coming in, like that's like your level of whatever. So that's your new high point. I don't get how you go from that, what you were doing in Baghdad with, the hostage rescues and how do you go from that to regular life?
I think the gateway drug is wingsuit base jumping.
Yeah, well, that's true. That you haven't really acclimated that great back to frickin' soccer dad.
I feel like I've acclimated extremely well. It's funny. I was doing a Q&A podcast today, and somebody was asking me about how do you heal the disconnect between civilian and military in the U.S. And my answer was, one, I don't think the disconnect is actually that bad.
Yeah.
But I also think the emphasis is on the military member, not the civilian populace. And I think the biggest thing that military people can do is just take a wrap off.
Yeah.
And don't be defined by your job. And it's okay to put it down, and that's what you used to do. And you can they're unique experiences.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that they're incredibly meaningful.
Okay.
I don't know what to pass on a lesson learned from a
Yeah.
hostage rescue. Like, I don't know what lesson I can teach my kids from that, and maybe it'd be better if I just put it down and walked away from it.
Yeah. I think, as you talked about, I think you are taking the right ones. It's probably why you're here speaking to this group you are, is like the leadership part. And like you
That's
said,
the biggest one.
You said who the people who you respect the most or learn the most from. So it's that. You obviously, military is about leading and filling roles and doing your job. And so that applies probably to anything.
The leadership transcends for sure. You look at guys like Jocko.
Yeah.
Killing it. The message he's putting out is awesome. And I think he'd be the first person to tell you he didn't create any of that.
Yeah.
As far as the message goes.
Right.
Because
protocol.
They were teaching those things back in the Spartan days.
Yeah. It's just a delivery, though. His delivery
is amazing.
Is unique.
For sure.
So, yeah.
There is only one Jocko.
People can have the same textbook.
Correct.
But, yeah, when he – yeah.
Well, I think it's why he's so effective, too. If you go to business school, you have at least heard or read every lesson that I've ever heard or read from the military when it comes to leadership as well.
Right.
Whether or not you paid attention to it
Yeah.
or apply it to your life is the difference. And I think it helps. Like if you have Jocko come to your organization, you don't suffer from the profit in your own land. It's not some other dude who went to the same business school as you. Like, let's be leaders, guys. It's Jocko. It's like, you will lead. And they're like, I will lead.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
Yeah, like you said, the delivery, I think, has a huge portion of that as well.
Yeah. Pat Tillman was always
he was cool, man.
Because it's just so like almost superhero-ish how NFL to Ranger.
Yep.
And like he was from what I
and his brother went with him too. He's like, I'm not going to let you go alone. His brother Kevin, they both picked up and went.
I remember I remember reading about Pat being like this free spirit. The guy who'd ride his bike around at Tempe. I think he went to Arizona State and
that's where they have that statue of him with like the flowing hair. Yeah.
Yeah, and read books and be this whatever. How was he as a ranger over there?
Awesome.
Were he and his brother the same? Like, or did they have?
They're different people for sure.
Yeah.
But I think I had Kevin and his wife came up to the house and stayed for a bit last year.
Okay.
It was really good to reconnect with him. The last time I had seen him was when his brother was getting flown out of Afghanistan.
Wow.
He came in, and I was just like, fuck, and I just gave him a huge hug and cried our eyes out, and then watched him walk with, Pat's casket out to the fucking C-17 and load him on there.
Yeah.
But I mean, Pat was a personality, and so is Kevin.
Yeah.
You can have a personality in the military.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to wait for it to come out.
Right.
Like in the selection course.
Yeah.
Contain your personality.
Right. You kind of just
be the gray man.
Blending in.
Afterwards, you get some time. You get some reps, and you get some time in the community. Like the personalities come out.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, the military is just a cross section of
society. Yeah.
So you have your jokers and your chuckleheads and the people who are legitimately just quiet and sociopathic. Yeah. And then the other ones, you know, were just the opposite. But Kevin and Pat were both. They were always energetic.
Really?
We would roll back in, and they were just like, "Oh man, what's going on? How can we help?" I'm just like, "Fuck, just give me a bag of Skittles, man."
And Pat would be working out, like you said.
He was active. He was an active man for sure. I'll never forget seeing him doing those wind sprints. I'm like, "What?
Yeah,
it's not cold out right now. This is the desert.
Yeah,
we're in Saudi Arabia. Why are you doing a wind sprint? We're getting our war on.
Yeah,
you're getting your sprint."
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, well, he was born and raised in San Jose, which is just over the hill where I was born in Santa Cruz. So we connected right away, just on the kind of knowing the same places. But what a catastrophic loss. And what a perfect example of the military can be its own worst enemy, how they handled that.
Oh, God, what a nightmare.
Complete, utter nightmare. Yeah. And I still don't know if they've necessarily completely come as clean as they could have. And it would, in my opinion, it would restore the integrity and trust of the institution as opposed to going the other direction where they're like, "Oh, there's nothing to see here. No, we're not wrong."
Yeah,
it's like you're definitely wrong.
That was a failure for sure. Sounds like from what I've read on it.
About it. And I talked to Kevin about it pretty extensively, and I actually reached out to Joe. I was like, "Hey, man, would you want to have this guy come on? Because if he ever wanted to talk about it, that's the platform I would want him to do it on."
Right.
And Joe was like, "Yeah, I would have him." And
Get the truth out.
I told Kevin, he's like, "No,
really,
I'm good."
Yeah.
And I can't fault him for that.
It's like I've put up pictures of Pat, like, on his when he died.
Yep.
And I get people that know the family that say they wouldn't want people to do that. What's your thoughts on that?
The family not wanting it and Pat not wanting it. I don't think Pat would mind. I mean, I didn't know him incredibly well.
Yeah.
But I don't think he would mind if it was just a remembrance of what it is we're supposed to be fighting for.
Right.
I think he would mind, and I think anybody would probably mind if it was used as some type of leverage or political statement.
Yeah.
As opposed to just like, this is what the cost is.
Yeah.
This is what we're fighting for. I don't think anybody would ever
sacrifice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh.
I think if it was like you pit him versus the Kaepernick stuff, I don't think he would enjoy that.
Right. Yeah. I get that.
Yeah. But I don't think he would have any issue with being a symbol of remembering what we're fighting for.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy was at the apex of what you can have.
Yeah.
And was like, you know what, this is a cost that we all need to bear, and I'm going to go ahead and step into the arena.
Yeah.
I mean, how can you not have respect for that?
Got to. That's what's crazy. Yeah, I couldn't imagine. I mean, and just the way that all went down, and so friendly fire, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Undoubtedly.
God, I know people say what happens, it's part of war or whatever, but God.
It is, but integrity is part of war too. And they knew, from my understanding, really early on that it was what it was, and they pushed another narrative forward as well.
Yeah.
So it was bad on top of bad, which is a shitty recipe.
God.
From my understanding. I mean, how do you feel? You have a child now who's serving.
Yeah.
How has it changed your opinion about it?
Yeah, I mean, it's, I'm proud of them for sure, but it's like anytime you hear somebody talk about, there's not that much risk or, the chance of anything happening, or they throw out like, well,
start throwing stats at you.
Yeah, and it's like, it's all, I get it all until it's your kid.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, it doesn't matter acceptable loss or anything. It's like,
The statistics on getting bitten by a shark
Yeah.
are pretty amazing until you're in a fucking shark's mouth.
Right.
And then the statistics aren't doing anything for you.
Right. So, I mean, it's, that part is proud parent. And I know and what I always say is even if Truett decided he wanted to do something like that too, it's like, if not my sons, then whose? Because I think they're, tried to raise them to just be prepared for things. And I don't know how you could ever prepare for what you guys have to do over there. But if not my boys, then I don't know who else it'd be. So
I don't know how many families share that mentality.
Yeah.
I would like to think the vast majority.
Right.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
In this day and age, at least.
Yeah. I mean, there's some people who are just against the military, and just think that we're, I don't know. You know all the narratives people say.
Oh, I get them all the time.
Yeah, I'm sure. Did you ever serve with Jocko?
Not directly.
Okay.
He was the commanding officer of the training detachment. So he was the training detachments. There's an East Coast and a West Coast, and every SEAL team. It's a very large, chunky mechanism.
Yeah.
It's a 24-month cycle, plus or minus. And for 18 months of that, you train. There's individual training, and then you all come together.
Yeah.
And then the staff that Jocko oversaw applies that training. And it's everything from clearance to military operations and urban terrain where you're going through cities to reconnaissance to desert. And I had gotten my commission when I was at Bud's as an instructor. So I went over to SEAL Team 3. And the building that he worked at was 150 feet from mine.
Yeah.
And I was just supposed to be managing and monitoring the training for the guys because it was a task unit that was going to go to Afghanistan. And a few months before they were supposed to go, the SEAL Team 3 commanding officer pulled me and he's like, hey, I'm going to throw you into an operational element. And you're just going to go and just, kind of work with him and hang out and just try to be a buffer. Take the experience that you have and try to do something good with it. And so then I started participating in the training evolutions that Jocko was overseeing, and I'm sure he has a few tales that I'll leave for him to tell.
Yeah.
But he would set up some very difficult training situations and that were realistic. And then I didn't really have a set role, so I just got to bounce around and throw grenades in windows.
That sounds fun.
It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
As long as you know what's in the window.
Right.
It can get a little sporty when you lose touch.
I bet.
So it was only from that perspective and that interface.
Okay.
But and then shortly, I got back in August. I think he got out of the military shortly thereafter.
Oh, okay.
So not directly. We did not work together directly.
Yeah, I see. Yeah.
It's a large community, but small at the same time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, I didn't know. I mean, I'd never asked or had heard how if you guys overlapped each other. I remember he told me that he was in for I think he said 12 or 13 years
As enlisted.
with no never fired a gun at a bad guy.
Pre 9/11.
Yeah. So I mean, for most of that,
Yeah.
is like he was just, I don't know what you guys do, just
Train.
training.
There was a generation of SEALs post Vietnam, pre 9/11. The guys who put me through training who could do 20, 30 years, and the world never presented them an opportunity to actually test themselves against the metrics that personally I don't think that combat is the most important metric, because the people who put me through training were phenomenal.
Yeah.
And they saw none.
Right.
So if they were amazing, then maybe the metrics shouldn't be firing a gun at somebody. It can become a slippery slope, but
I get it.
There was a long period of time where there was nothing.
Yeah. And then it got crazy.
And then it got a little Western.
Yeah. And then still now it's been what?
Now it's Western, but it seems to be spread out.
Yeah.
I think we were so incredibly good actually at, they learned if they locate together in a large enough group, we will find them.
Yeah.
So their move is to split out.
Yeah. Be
disaggregate, make sure that the heads of the snake are independent so you could chop one off and not impact.
Yeah.
And so I think I don't want to misstate, but I think the number of countries that we have some level of involvement in, I want to say like 50 or 60.
Oh, yeah. So
it's
we're
spread. To include, I mean, let's not forget the impact that ideology can have in this country.
Yeah. Right.
You know, Oklahoma City bombing is another example of a shitty ideology. Timothy McVeigh, right? Or the San Bernardino people, those were specifically,
right.
You know,
very small group, obviously.
Yeah, I was a husband and wife, but they killed, I think, 22.
Yeah. God. Yeah, no.
So this country has to be included in, you know, where we're combating it.
You know, the theory, as you know, is like we go there, we take care of them there, so they're not here.
Yes.
Isn't that like in a 30,000-foot level? That's kind of what.
At a broad level, I don't think it's possible. I don't think it's possible to destroy an ideology. I just think it will survive to some degree. But I think you have to prevent it from flourishing and spreading as much as possible.
Yeah.
I think where it gets tenuous is, can you create more of that ideology with the mechanism with which you're using to destroy it?
Yeah, because they're like, so Trump, he'll say what he made the call to take out Soleimani, I think is his name. And where we had a chance to do that multiple times before, but whatever president passed it up.
We had a chance at bin Laden, I think, in the Clinton administration as well.
Right. Yeah. So what do you think? I mean, it feels like it's different with Trump, that he's not adverse to taking out those leaders. What do you think that does? Do you think that energizes their faction, or does it hurt?
I think it makes them talk a lot.
Yeah.
But I don't know what they can do with that other than talk.
Right.
If that's all that they have, then I think you should keep chipping away at them.
Yeah, because I think that they've killed another one since then that got a little less play.
Yeah, people forget how many drone strikes Obama authorized.
Yeah.
That dude was a savage.
I've read that too. Yeah. That Trump's getting all this heat for it, but Obama was actually,
he was throwing down.
Yeah.
And rightfully so, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But it just received different coverage because of the different individual, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah, it's so hard. I know from what I've heard, the military really feels more valued with Trump than they did with Obama. Is what
I can see that. I mean, when I first went in, I served under Clinton and then Bush and then Obama.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, the job didn't change.
Really?
I mean, the budgets will float around a little bit, but it's I would describe it like an aircraft carrier, which I don't think that they still have a wheel that you spin. But if you did, you'd be spinning it for a really long time before the bow of the ship actually started to turn.
I got you. Yeah. It takes a while.
It does. And the budgets are actually, they forecast into the future.
Yeah.
So, you know, Trump is still probably living in a lot of the stuff that Obama created.
Right.
And the president, the next after Trump, whether or not he gets reelected, the next one will be living through some of his stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of that ties into the military as well.
I see. Yeah.
There's a large bureaucratic element, especially to the conventional military. It's not a rapidly, you're not turning on a dime.
Right. Yeah. That makes sense.
And like I said, the budgets weren't crazy different.
Right.
Obama didn't slow anything down after GW.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
If anything, it accelerated in some degrees.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I guess it just got a different type of attention.
I think so.
Yeah.
And I think it was because of the person.
Yeah.
Right or wrong, I have no idea, but I suspect it could have been from the person.
I just I don't know. I'm from the outside looking in, obviously, but like this last State of the Union, which I'm not too crazy on politics. It's like I have my opinions like anybody, but I do like the pro-American. Like the last State of the Union was, people will say it's made for TV or more reality show or whatever. I liked it. I like being proud of America. I like he brought in, you know, the military people he had there and he was awarding. I like that, not afraid to be patriotic. I like that part.
Yeah, it can be taken too far. I like it as well. There's a other side of that blade. What I want to see one day is a president come in for the State of the Union and say, listen up, assholes.
Yeah.
Nobody is going to clap on anything that I say until the end.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say everything that I want to say.
Right.
And then at the end, you can clap or boo, and we're going to be out of here in 7 minutes.
Right. Yeah, that's true. They can do that. Yeah. What is it? The bipartisan.
Yes.
Like he'll say
they choreograph, stand, clap, don't clap.
But how can you say unemployment's at an all-time low? Democrats I'm not happy about that. What? How are you not happy about that?
I don't follow politics too closely, and the reason I don't is because it doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
It seems to me that the very vocal minority is consuming 90% of the bandwidth.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, how about everybody stay seated, no clapping, shut up. This is what I did. This is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Peace. And just get out of there.
It's I can't. I was actually on this panel like for a wildlife thing with the Secretary of Interior. He ended up getting fired.
Zinke?
Zinke.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know Zinke.
He's a
right.
whitefish guy. Just lives just north of where I do.
He's a SEAL. And I was like, I liked him. Whatever. He gave me a chance. Who the hell am I, right? So then he got fired because of who knows why. A million different investigations going on, which you never know what are legit, what aren't. But I was just, I'd go back there, and it's just like not my type of people. It's just like that's politics. It's like a lot of pomp and circumstance, a lot of posturing. I'm like, if somebody tells me something, I believe what they said. I mean, if you
should probably not hang around politicians.
Yeah, I believe. Oh, is it? Oh, okay, I'll ask a question. I get the answer. I'm like, oh, that's how it is? No, that's not how it is.
Yeah.
That's
what I'm going to tell
weird.
you.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just weird. I'm like, this sucks. This sucks. I just, oh, God, it feels like it's
Do you
just
still do it?
frustrating. No.
Yeah, good call.
I didn't go once they let him go and did whatever they did. I was just like, it kind of, I think they announced last week they disbanded it.
Oh, they got rid of the whole thing?
The committee, yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah. So, but who knows? It's like, it's just weird. I'm just not, I don't think I'm cut out for it.
Oh, people ask me, like, you should run for office. I'm like, I would rather kill myself than run for office. I cannot think of anything I would want to do less than politics.
Yeah.
Other than perhaps gay porn.
And it might be close.
It's a close second, probably. It's like, if those are my two choices, it's like.
Yeah. Just so dirty. It's just like, I'm talking politics, not gay porn.
Good clarification.
God bless the gay porn people. But, yeah, no, it's just like, it's so dirty. I don't know. I just, whatever.
How much are you running these days?
A lot.
God. Are you going to do one of those ridiculous run until you go partially blind and have brain hematoma again?
Yeah, I like the discipline of running, of course. And it's just.
Do you just go out your front door sometimes and just go bombing?
That's what I did today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just took off. Had today off work just because of President's Day. And so it was a beautiful day here. And what time did you get here?
2-ish?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
It was beautiful. The drive-in from Portland was amazing.
Oh, you flew to Portland?
Yeah, I needed better options to get to Texas.
Oh, right. Yeah. So tomorrow is, or when is Texas?
Tomorrow afternoon.
Oh, God. So when do you speak?
8 a.m. tomorrow.
Oh.
And then 2 p.m. the following day.
Oh, God.
And then I get on a plane. I get home Wednesday night at midnight.
Really?
Yes. Well, it's a full schedule.
You're making good money for those things.
Yeah, but people don't understand that type of travel will destroy you.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. It's so, traveling is like, yeah. So I was at the show on Saturday in Salt Lake, and even just that, and then just flying back, it's, running a marathon is way easier. It's just exhausting.
I disagree. I completely disagree with that. I think last year I ran a total of 500 yards. It was amazing. I refuse.
So what do you do, like, to get in shape?
I have been diving pretty deep into jiu-jitsu, actually, which is not running shape. It's definitely a different type of simulated, like, murder with your buddies cardio.
Yeah.
And then I can hike right out of my house, but I'm a huge fan. You got to pick up heavy things to be strong. Yeah. To me, the formula on that one's pretty easy. Yeah. If you want to be strong, lift heavy things. And I still look at, September is a pin in the ground. Yeah. I know what it feels like when it's on my back. It's like, okay, I need to prepare for that.
So you work towards that.
I used to do more probably CrossFit circuit type stuff. Yeah. And I've only been doing jiu-jitsu for about a year and a half. And when I first started, I was trying to work out while trying to learn. Oh God. I was just a wet noodle. Struggling. Oh, just destroyed. Like physically just completely taxed. So I backed off of lifting a little bit and just It's yeah, there's some
Rough.
caloric burn
Yeah.
for sure. They call it the gentle art. So the liars do.
Yeah. So are you a black belt yet?
No, God no.
No, I'm just kidding.
No.
Doesn't that take like 10 years?
I think
I've
on
never
average
done
it does. Yeah.
Yeah.
On
I've
average.
never done it.
You should have Joe choke you out next time you're down in L.A.
Oh, that sounds fun.
He'll probably let go before you go out. He's got that little mat section right there.
I heard Jocko won't. Jocko will like be pretty rough on you. Didn't he? Like,
Would it surprise you if Jocko was rough on you? He broke Dudley's throat.
Yes, that's what I'm basing it off.
The best part about that is that Jocko had no idea until we were doing a podcast in Bozeman
that happened,
and I had to basically force Dudley to tell him, and Jocko's like, "What? You never told me." Dudley's getting like throat cancer tests and like stuff shoved down his nose.
Oh,
and Jocko's like, dude.
Yeah, that's crazy. Oh,
I feel like Jocko would be. I mean, he's a fucking caveman.
Yeah,
he's gonna roll like a caveman. He's a maximum horsepower individual, I think.
Yeah, I love it. I love his videos too.
Yes, he is also could be defined by his intensity and the things that he devoutly believes. I love his Monday videos. He always starts with his head to the side.
Yeah,
and it's like
he talked about that today.
Oh, did he? Damn it, I missed that one.
Yeah, he did. He's like, people say, why don't you smile? And why are you always in like a dark room or whatever? And he said, like, because if he smiles, then the enemy can see his teeth. He like went on this whole thing. He's joking about how he's like, and why is he always looking to the side? He's like, because he's checking his flank, and he's like, it's something being always prepared for attack or whatever.
We had that photographer at the Deseret, and at lunchtime we'd be looking at pictures, and he'd see one, and I don't know if the photographer knew him well, and I'd be like, erase that. Yeah. And he was like, "Oh, sorry." He's like, "No, I'm just kidding," because he was smiling at the picture.
Yeah.
It's like, delete that file immediately. And the guy's like, "Oh, yes, sir." And like, he's like, "No, I'm just." He's actually an incredibly nice guy. He's such.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, I hadn't been around him until Utah, but great. It was
he had a unique experience.
Oh God, I felt that first night was hearing about the hunt. I was just like, as we know, bow hunting. There's nothing more humbling.
Oh God!
Bow hunting. You can think you're the biggest beast in the world, and bow hunting gods will be like, no, no.
You'll come back with a bow that you broke over a rock.
Yeah. So it was, I mean, his hunt turned out amazing, but it's had some ups and downs.
Yeah, I bet he had a rough night's sleep.
Oh God, yeah. But that's how it goes sometimes.
Yeah, I'm going to meet up with him. I'll be in San Diego doing some speaking stuff in early March. I'm going to try to actually train with him.
Oh, are you?
Or I'm going to watch him train with somebody else first.
Yeah.
And then maybe I'll train with that person.
Yeah. Or wear a neck brace.
Oh, fuck. Or, hopefully record a podcast with him and then. I don't know how much Joe rolls anymore.
Joe?
I don't know how much.
I'm not sure. I never see him. Well, it's like we base everything on what they post about. So it's not like he could be doing it and not post about it.
Of course not.
That'd be impossible.
If it didn't happen on Instagram.
That's impossible. But I haven't, I don't know.
He's been a black belt for a long time.
Yeah, he has.
Oh, yeah, it's I tell you what, man, I'm sure it's the parallels to bow hunting are probably so there's just levels.
I've heard that, yeah.
You get into it and you're like, oh, okay, I think I know this. And then you get demolished.
Yeah.
Because somebody knows like 2% more than you.
Right, yeah.
And then you realize they've been training 6 months longer than you, and then the black belts have been doing it for 20 years longer than you. And all they keep talking about is, oh yeah, I just began learning last year. I'm like, oh, what?
Yes. Yeah, I have never even done it, so I have no basis on anything, but I just know that people get pretty deep into it. And
you would probably get deep into it, I suspect, based off your level and passion for working out and bow hunting and running.
Yeah, I just have.
You have limited time.
I can only be fully immersed in a couple things.
When you're on your runs, just attack somebody.
There you go.
Basically, it's just like some impromptu jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
It's not a good idea. Don't do that.
Where do you train?
There are 3 awesome jiu-jitsu studios in the Flathead Valley where I live.
Oh.
So there's Whitefish I gotta have you come out. There's
Yeah.
Whitefish, Kalispell, and then the Flathead Lake.
Okay.
And on the north end of Flathead Lake, on the right-hand side, there's a I don't know when a town becomes a city or vice versa, but smaller city, Big Fork, and then Kalispell, and then Whitefish. There's I trained at a organization called SBG, Straight Blast Gym. They're founded up in Portland.
Oh.
Matt Thornton. They have the home gym up in Portland. But there's 3 of them, one in each of those. So I have the opportunity and ability to train. I guess I could do it 7 days a week, but I'd have the functional ability to barely wipe my ass if I did that. So I'll go 4 to 5 days a week, but
Really?
right there. Oh, it's nice too. I mean, I completely stumbled upon it by accident because a buddy of mine would not shut up about it. And I told him if he would never say the word jiu-jitsu again, I would go to a class.
Okay.
And then I've been trying to make him pay for it ever since. Physically, not with actually cash.
Yeah.
But
is he a little bit better than you still?
No.
Could you take him?
Yeah. Trying to think of the polite way to say that, but Nelson knows the deal.
Well, that's good.
We have good roles, and they're not mean-spirited at all.
Yeah.
And I think he's just glad that I'm there, and I'm glad that he enticed me to go there because it's been awesome.
That's great. It's good to share that with somebody.
Yeah, it's cool, and it's a really difficult thing, and I find that self-selects for good character because assholes don't want to work hard.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'm sure there's some. I mean, obviously very new to the bow hunting world, but it seems like a lot of the people who want to put the work in, there's a particular type of character that's like, yes.
Yeah. Except for the ones that hate on you because you killed a bull.
That's okay. That's fine.
Yeah, I know. But no,
I feel like they would have taken the shot if it walked out too.
No, guaranteed they would have. Guaranteed. Yeah. They just like to say must be nice.
Yeah. Well, guess what, guys? It is nice.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah. I know. Are you gonna be able to go back there this year?
To be honest, I think that Utah trip was the chance of a lifetime for me.
Really?
There's no way I could ever afford that, and it was just because I had the peripheral relationship. Like, I honestly tell people that I'm not a hunter, and I'm not even at a point where I consider myself to be a hunter because of I have such gaping holes in my knowledge.
Yeah.
I can do fine when I'm standing next to Dudley, like most people can.
Right.
People are like, what call do you use? I'm like, it's called the John Dudley.
Yeah.
They're like, he makes calls. I'm like, no, I whisper. I'm like, Dudley, can you make the elk come here?
Yeah. A little bit closer. Yeah.
Come bring the bigger one over here, Dudley.
Yeah.
So I obviously have some crutches that a lot of people don't have access to. And I'd be the first to admit that, but I'll have a Montana tag. It's so nice now. My first year I hunted in Montana was like over $1,000 for a elk deer combo, and it's $60 now.
Really?
Over the counter, like Bass Pro Shops, cruising there. And
awesome.
all the other stuff, like the upland bird, turkey, which I don't fuck turkeys.
Yeah.
But
I agree.
Why do people call them the elk of birds?
I don't know.
They look nothing like elk.
Yeah. I don't know.
Because I can hit a turkey with my car and it's just fine.
Yeah. I mean, there's, Oh, your car? Yeah, right. It's definitely not like an elk.
Yeah, you hit an elk or with your car, you're probably going to die.
Over. It's over. Yeah.
So I'll have those. I think I do the season opener up at Red Willow Outfitters with Dudley in August. But I'll probably just do those two. I was looking at, I mean, I kind of went a little bit nuts the last few years and went on like every single trip because I haven't time of my life.
Yeah. Then
I realized, people see me go on these trips and like, oh, it must be nice. I'm like, yeah, I'm also paying for it, by the way, asshole.
Yeah.
I'm going to back off the semi-professional hunting career and just
go back to amateur.
The self-funded semi-professional hunting career. And it's perfect because I have I can do whatever I want. I don't have any sponsorship obligations in the hunting world. I can just be me.
Yeah.
I can shoot what I want.
That's awesome.
Which means I can suck as much as I want to.
Yeah. That's, hey. Yeah. Something to be said. A lot less pressure when it's, because inherently, if somebody sends you on a hunt, you feel pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't like it. I was like, oh man, this is a really expensive arrow.
Yes, I know. I remember, my first, I went to Colorado and it's like the hunt was, God, I don't know, $10,000 or $12,000. That's all I could think about. It's like I've had to work my ass off for this much money before, and this is riding on this arrow.
Yeah,
and it's just like I almost couldn't enjoy the hunt.
You feel it. I felt it.
Yeah,
and I don't think they, the Sitka guys hooked me up with it. I don't think they had any expectation at all.
Right.
But I felt so
Yeah, you felt
obligated to not
Yep.
suck.
Not
I'm
screw
like,
it up.
I was like, this is not going to happen again. I need to do good.
Yeah.
And then I did, and I was like, oh, how did I figure out how to kill myself with my bow again?
Yeah. But you got to, yeah.
Yeah.
God, that was a fun trip. Just having everybody there.
It's cool, the people that I've met. It's been interesting.
Yeah.
Everybody has been incredibly just like open-armed. It's fun. I mean, to go back to Joe, he's like the great connector.
Yeah, for sure.
Because he was the one who kind of like seamlessly hooked everybody. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's how I got to meet everybody.
I know.
Very interesting.
Yeah, he's God. I'm glad to see him. He's killing it.
He should be.
Did you see the where he ranked in the podcast earnings?
I'm assuming it was one.
Yeah, it was like 30 million last year. It's pretty good.
You can do better than that, Joe.
Step your game up. So
That's Bush League.
God, isn't that incredible from a podcast?
That's like $2.5 million a month. But you know what? That's awesome. I'm like,
I love it.
yeah.
I couldn't be more happy, but I'm just like,
You know how many pissed off people there are right now that we just
yeah, I know. No, I just I celebrate it just because he's come from, he didn't have like a silver spoon in his mouth. He came up the hard way, self-made. It's like what a story that is.
And he's down to earth.
Oh God, nicest guy, most generous person ever.
For the people ask me about him all the time. It's actually my number one red flag when people reach out to me.
Yeah.
They'll be like, hey, man, we wanted to talk to you. And also maybe one day you could introduce us to Joe. And I
Yeah.
just drag that to the garbage
God.
can
Yeah,
icon.
I know. Yeah.
But I know a few people in that orbit, but he is by far the most down-to-earth
yeah.
person.
Yeah.
I just, people ask, and I'll say he's exactly the same when the microphone is on as when he is when it's off. Like,
Yeah.
it's just Joe.
No,
It's awesome.
What always struck is just how generous he is. I'm just like, there's people who have money who aren't generous.
They're the opposite of.
The opposite. And it's like, I've just seen him just be like so like to a waitress or somebody bringing you or ordering a coffee, and it's just like amazingly generous. And it's just that always just strikes me as, I don't know. It seems simple, but it's a big deal to the people he's impacting.
For sure.
And
yeah, it could be not a big deal to him, but it's life-changing to some of those other people.
And it's just like I've always just noticed that, and it's pretty cool.
Truly, though, I mean, 30 million is Bush.
God. Fuck. I know.
That's only one of the things he does.
I know. I know.
That is so
No
awesome.
wonder he's so happy.
I love his commentating on the UFC.
Yeah.
He just did that passion for fighting. I love it.
He says that's the easiest thing he does.
I bet. He's probably just sitting. It'd be like somebody who's passionate about hunting calling a play-by-play when you go hunting.
Yeah.
They just get to follow, and Cam is stepping over the rock.
Right. That's all he says. Because I'm like, I said, he's going to be live for, what is it, like 3, like.
Oh, he goes in there early, doesn't he?
It could be 8 hours. Because it starts, he has to be there sometimes at 2 something. It starts at 3:30, but then it'll go to like maybe 10:30. So whatever, 7 hours.
I was surprised when I first saw that. I figured he would come in for only the main card.
No.
And he's there
The whole time.
lock stock the whole time, yeah.
But yeah, he says that's easy. He loves it. He doesn't hardly eat 7 hours, doesn't just like so immersed in it. And it's just
I can see that.
It doesn't work.
Yeah.
And he's so good at it too.
Because it's not work for him. Yeah, it's yeah, I love it when he's calling fights.
Yeah.
How are they in person?
Oh, you've never been?
Nah.
Oh God, it's so good. So I love the live fights. Yeah, it's just electric, and the atmosphere is crazy. The energy of the arena is crazy. With a big fighter, they're all exciting. But when you get some of those iconic stars like a Conor or when Ronda was at her peak, when those type of fights and fighters come out, it's just like unreal.
Does the place just lose its lid?
Oh yeah, it's just crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, it's there's nothing I enjoy more really than those live fights. Other maybe bow hunting, but yeah, it's pretty. I feel pretty lucky to have been able to go to so many.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've always heard that it's an experience to behold for sure.
Oh.
I went to a boxing fight once.
Yeah.
I don't remember who was fighting. Somebody got knocked the fuck out though.
Yeah, that happens.
The crowd went. There was people in Nacho Libre masks. I remember that.
Really?
I believe it was a Mexican fighter.
Yeah, they get some of the theatrics on those. They go all out.
Were you there for the Conor fight with Khabib?
Yeah.
How was that in the crowd when shit got a little wild?
Yeah, I thought actually because Joe's wife went.
Oh no!
And so she was sitting there with us, and I didn't know what the hell was going on because everybody went out, and it was just not far from us. It's right on the same.
Because when he came flying over the top,
yeah, that was like probably not even 20, like, God, I don't know, 25 feet away. It was close. So I didn't know, and those people are pretty serious about. You start talking about their religion, like Connor was doing. It's like
he went a little deep.
That shit they don't play.
Yeah.
Right. So I didn't
Revenge
know,
is a real thing.
Right. I didn't know if somebody would be so upset a gun could be there. I didn't know. I didn't know what it just got so insane. So I asked Joe, I said, do you want me to take, Jessica out here? I didn't know what to do. It was just like freaking melee.
What did Joe do? Did he start commentating the fights in the crowd?
He was just standing up, and I don't know. I don't think they ended up airing it. I think they took it off.
I watched that fight live.
Yeah, I think they had it live, but then like on Now, I think it's gone.
I don't doubt that.
I don't know what they said because I never saw what they said.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I just remember seeing him go flying into the crowd, and then they basically just seemed like there was about 50 fights simultaneously happening.
That video is still out.
Yeah,
from the fans.
Oh, for sure.
But what the guys were saying, I've never heard it.
Yeah, I can't say that I have either.
Yeah,
so, you're talking about the actual verbal interaction,
like what Joe was saying.
Oh yeah, you know what? I don't remember him saying anything actually.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody knew exactly what the hell was going to happen.
It was
like you said, there was some very diametrically opposed, heated people.
All I remember, because it was so toxic, I was like, when we were going to the arena, I was just like, I just hope we make it
out. Yeah.
Because, dude, it was crazy.
And plus, I'm sure everybody was sober.
Yeah. I mean, but it's just, I'm not worried about regular drunk people, but what Connor was saying about
he went deep.
Their religion and his family, and it's just like, they just don't. They don't take that well.
He toned it down quite a bit with Cowboy.
Yeah, Cowboy, he was very respectful.
Yeah.
So,
that was an interesting fight too.
Oh, God, that was crazy.
People were practicing shoulder hits throughout the world the following day.
Afterwards, because I remember when they came together, and then they got some space, and I was just like, is Donald busted up already?
Yeah.
I didn't know what happened. I didn't know if it was a headbutt. I didn't know what happened. I didn't even notice the shoulders.
Yeah.
But they caused some damage.
Yeah, I think he was hurting after the first or second one.
Yeah.
I mean, it went downhill rapidly after that.
Oh,
but
God.
I can't believe people would say he would throw that too.
Yeah, no, he's never going to do that. What I can't believe is how little money he makes from.
What did he make for that fight?
Well, not just he, but the fighters. He got $200,000.
What did Connor get?
Well,
millions, I'm assuming.
Yeah, $3 million. But like 200 for that big of a fight, it seems like not enough.
Especially for the damage.
Yeah, well, but he didn't know what the damage was going to be. But as big as that fight was going to be with Connor coming back, it seems like it'd be worth more than $200,000.
Yeah, and he's not going to even get 200. I mean, cut half of that off the top for taxes as it is.
Then he has to pay his trainers, everything else. And it's just like, wow.
Better love fighting.
I know.
You better have been skipping school and not paying the mortgage to go fight.
And I think he does love fighting. So I think money is secondary. And I know he's got other sponsors. Like I know Budweiser is probably a good one.
It should be. I feel like he's a true consumer of the brand.
Yeah. But I wanted him to get a bigger payday just because he's been grinding so long.
Yeah.
And he's done it the right way. I want him to get millions too.
Did they line up of another Khabib McGregor?
They
Or is
want
that rumor?
to. They want to because Khabib has another fight
Yeah,
already against Tony Ferguson.
that'll be a good fight.
Yeah, and Tony is a freaking beast. So
Those
they're
guys are all beasts.
yeah. So people are like just like penciling Khabib in as winning.
Yeah.
and then he'll fight Conor again. But
We shall see.
yeah, because
Like he's penciling in is the best. Yeah, it's not an ink.
no, it's not.
Just gonna go number 2.
Yeah, you don't know what that's gonna how that's gonna play out. So that's gonna be an exciting fight. That'll be good to see. But if it ever, then Khabib is like he is wanting to make Conor suffer more, like
I can see that.
not getting the rematch
Yeah.
for whatever. Supposedly there's some investors that said they'd pay Khabib $100 million, and he said he doesn't care about that. He goes, Conor needs to win 10 straight fights first.
I would fight Conor for $100 million.
Yeah, I know. yeah. Have you ever watched his documentary?
Khabib or Conor?
Conor.
Yes.
Notorious?
Yes.
God, that's good.
It is.
Just that story is so epic. I love
Self-made as well, yeah.
I love his story. I do. It's weird how some people just have this like thing about him. It's like, I don't know, maybe it was like Tillman had that, or maybe some other people who have that special something. He's got it. I don't know why.
He definitely has it for sure. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think anybody can deny that.
Yeah. He just takes it, like that documentary where he always believed, like when he's living with his mom in a fucking bedroom, and he's saying, "I'm going to be champion,
And I'm going to get you a bitchin' house.
Yes.
Yep.
And it's just like that kind of belief in yourself is, I don't know, it's pretty sweet.
And to see it through the
Yeah.
ups and downs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Because people look at him now and must be nice.
oh God, I know. I remember I was at a fight he was there, and it was when he'd been on a pretty good roll. He hadn't lost to Diaz the first time. So their first fight with Diaz. So it was right before that, and I think he won. It might have been after he won a second belt. I can't remember what the timeline was, but anyway, he seemed unbeatable.
Yeah.
And so he was sitting there like kind of where Joe sits, like in that first row. And it was earlier in the night, so it wasn't super full. So I go, and he was with his girlfriend there. And I sat down by him, and I was like, I just put my hand on his leg, and I said, I got a question for you. He goes, yeah? I go, how have you ever lost? I go, you seem like you're untouchable right now. He's just like, Aldo in 13 seconds is just freaking over. And so I just didn't. He had 2 losses at that time already.
Yeah.
And I just didn't know how he'd lost. And he just said he goes, I was young. He goes, I wasn't that good. So he was just honest. So it's been a journey, and he has lost. He lost and learned, and just was obsessed and got better. That's all there is to it.
Incremental growth.
Yeah. But I don't know. It was pretty interesting. He's definitely changed the sport.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Undoubtedly.
Yeah.
Like his mark is made.
Oh God, he's a legend. His legacy's there. That's I guess almost everybody's goal is to leave a legacy, and he definitely has.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, hell, man, I got to get out of your hair. It's late. You got to work tomorrow.
I do.
All right.
Right.